Good evening, my fellow students. Today I'm talking about the topic of Article 79, Force Majeure. Force Majeure still just deal with a very extraordinary situation which can relieve the buyer or the seller's liability. Yeah, but I have to say once again, it deals with the very extraordinary situation. So firstly, we look into the paragraph 1 of Article 79. Yeah, paragraph 1, a party is not liable for a failure to perform any of its obligation if he prove. Here, he prove means it's already um, a burden of proof. If the party who suffered from the extraordinary situation proves the failure was due to an impediment beyond his control. So this situation is beyond the buyer or the seller's control, and that he could not reasonably be expected to have taken that impediment into account at the time of the conclusion of the contract, or to have avoided or overcome it or its consequences. So it means that extraordinary situation is not expected. Yeah, at the time point when the contract is concluded. So there are two elements. The first element, the situation itself, is beyond control. The second, that situation is not foreseeable. Yeah, when the contract is concluded. And the purpose of this article refers to is exempt the party's liability for impediment beyond the buyer or the seller's control. And that impediment could be seen as a change of the circumstance. And some court describe the language, describe this impediment with the language, an unmanageable risk or a totally exceptional event. So it's described these two characteristic of such extraordinary situation. First one is unmanageable. The second one is really exception, an exception that cannot be foresee beforehand. And how to determine this impediment, because it has a great effect. So if you adopt a loose or a strict approach, you will have a different result. Yeah, in the old times, yeah, according to the digest of CSG, in the old times, the court adopt the second one, strict approach, which means the seller, yeah, mostly the situation is the seller. The seller cannot perform due to this exceptional circumstance. So, impossible to perform means it's really that situation has compared the buyer or the seller to do his past job. But right now, mostly the court adopt a loose approach, which could be understood with the term economically excessive. So it could be seen as uh, this exceptional circumstance has produced much inconvenience, but not render the delivery impossible. But that delivery have no economical sense, which means it could incur a tremendous cost. So that makes this transaction nonsense. And then There are several languages or terms to describe this situation. The first one, the exceptional circumstance made the performance a matter of economic hardship. So economic hardship means it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any profit. It produces a lot of cost, and that cost is unreasonable. And then second, the performance involves extraordinary and disproportionate burden. So in the same manner. And then there are some examples, good examples, because in this part of digestive, they have a lot of different cases, but you have to choose something that could be a guidance for us to manage the real case. There are several examples that I found acceptable to me. The examples for an impediment that are beyond control, like the buyer's country official refused to import. Some goods need some permit, and that permit to import is refused by the country's official, maybe arbitrarily, without any reasonable reason. Something in authoritarian countries is the daily situation. Something like happens in the Shanghai for their custom reject the Lithuanian goods because Lithuania is blocked in the system. So that could be sound as an impediment beyond control, beyond the buyer or the seller's control. And then some countries have a foreign currency control, and that foreign currency control prevent the buyer to issue a letter of credit. That means the payment is not possible, but the buyer cannot do anything. Yeah, because it's a government control, a government foreign currency control. And then the second minor topic is foreseeable risk at a contract conclusion. So the exceptional situation cannot be foreseen, cannot be predicted at the time when the contract is concluded. But there is several cases very interesting. And firstly, sometimes the risk can be predicted. Yeah, at the contract conclusion. Something like you make a special arrangement such as early delivery. Yeah, early delivery. The seller agrees an early delivery, but it need several cash flows to make early delivery possible. But the seller just run out of cash, and he cannot pay extra cash to his suppliers. So then the delivery is not on time. So this risk has been predicted, can be foreseen at the time when the contract is concluded. And then there are a lot of price fluctuations, such as today, because we are right now in an inflation period. So price fluctuations can be, if it's admitted as a cause of impediment, that means buyer or the seller can can avoid the contract if the market price just fluctuated to a certain degree. But in this minor topic of price fluctuations, the different countries' court have the same opinion that only in a very, very extraordinary situation, the buyer or the seller can claim avoidance because of price fluctuations. Because everything, the market price always fluctuated. You have to make some insurance. You should insure yourself against the market or the price fluctuations. There are two interesting cases called 54, yeah, 54 and 277. These two cases, the court forbid market fluctuation as an impediment, especially in the Cloud 277. This case, the the up the court even point out the transaction was itself a speculative transaction. It's a high speculation in that case, or for the goods involved. That goods involved is a spatial steel, and that steel is high speculative in under that circumstance. And the possession of risk itself is also interesting. There is one case we can interesting Cloud 163, Yugoslav caviar. Yeah, that's right, the caviar for the luxurious food, the luxurious something that you put in your dishes that make everything so expensive. Yeah, risk should lie with the party who possess the goods at that time. It's in an interesting case because the seller and the buyer, the seller is a Yugoslav producer of caviar, and they just agreed on a term of its work. So that means the possession of the goods will be on the buyer's side after the goods left the factory. Yeah. So during that during the transportation from the factory to the border, yeah, during this transportation, the Yugoslav government just forbid the export of caviar. So that means that goods cannot be shipped across the border, and the caviar just exported because it's a fresh goods. And then, in another interesting topic, minor topic, is the failure caused by the seller suppliers. The seller itself could be an agent or a trader, but not a producer, but not a manufacturer. The suppliers make some late delivery. So the suppliers deliver late, and the seller should deliver late accordingly. So in this case, the different code have the same meaning, that the seller shall be responsible for his suppliers. It means it's a non-fault approach, or acquisition risk shall be borne by the seller. Yeah, because seller have the control, seller choose its suppliers. So the seller have to responsible for all its suppliers. Only in a very exceptional case that seller acts in a good faith could be admitted as impediment under the Article 79. So I just finish here, and maybe we can discuss several interesting cases later.